And me learning from people like that, just learning from people, I always look at people that I think do things better than me. If I can learn things from them, what can I help teach my team? Or what value can I bring back to my team? You know why we become entrepreneurs? So we can work 100 hours for ourselves and not get paid, because we don't want to work 40 hours a week for someone else and get paid. And to be honest, that's about a true story. And I hate to say it, but it is, because most of us, when we start a business, we don't have a good plan.
Hey, Ryan here with the Profit Roadmap. As always, the premier podcast created for field service pros to help you grow your business, stay on top of the latest trends, and help you provide even more value to the communities that you serve. Now, this week, special co-host Mike Callahan and I had a chance to sit down with the expert plumber himself, Roger Wakefield. Now, you might recognize Roger from YouTube or TikTok, but for those of you who aren't familiar, Roger's YouTube channel is one of the most viewed plumbing channels worldwide, and he's amassed quite a following with over 1 million followers across his social platforms. And that's for good reason, because not only is Roger a very successful content creator, he's also a Texas responsible plumber with every endorsement offered by the state of Texas and over 40 years of experience in the plumbing industry. He's also the founder and CEO of Roger Wakefield LLC, League Pro, and the Trades Academy. All in all, Roger's built a multifaceted career that combines his trade knowledge with business innovation, and he's on a mission to elevate the trades through education, innovation, and community engagement without the burden of college debt. The topic of our discussion today is building your service business from essentially nothing to your first $1 million in revenue, predominantly by leveraging YouTube and social media for marketing purposes. We'll talk about the importance of consistency in your marketing strategy, SEO, and how it all ties together to educate and build trust within your market. If you like what you see here today, be sure to check out Roger on his YouTube channel or on his very own podcast, The Trade Talks. Links for both will be down in the show notes. Now, before we get started, as always, thank you for taking the time out of your day to hang out with us. All right, let's go talk to Roger. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Super excited to have Roger Wakefield here with Mike and I. Roger, we're gonna jump straight into it. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got where you are today.
I started plumbing in 1980, and I've been plumbing most of my life. I've got out and tried a couple of other things, but always end up back in plumbing. And in 2015, I decided to open my own business. And along the way, I was getting ripped off by marketing companies. And I tell people, I know it's a cliche almost. But I tell people, imagine driving down the road, throwing $47,000 cash out the window, and knowing when you get to your office, your phone's not going to be ringing. That's about where I was. So I decided shortly after that, I'm going to start taking the marketing into my own hands. And I decided that I was going to learn YouTube. Actually, I decided I was just going to learn social media. So 7 years and 12 days ago, I was in a conference in San Diego. And this guy walks out on stage and he says, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And I shut my notebook. I thought, this guy's nuts. He has no idea about YouTube, because that's just where I store my videos. And I literally put my hand on the chair next to me, and I'm raising up to turn around and walk out. And I did this crazy thing. I looked in the back of the room, and it was standing room only. And I turned back around and looked up in time to hear him say, and it's owned by Google, the largest search engine in the world. Now, at the age of 54, I went to this conference to learn Facebook, because that's what social media is for old people. But after sitting in this conference, I had to figure out, man, if I'm trying to grow my company, what do I want to do? So I went home early that Friday, because I had a radio show in Dallas on Saturday morning. But Friday on the plane ride home, all day Saturday and all day Sunday, I worked on an implementation plan. What am I going to actually do that I learned at this conference? And then I picked YouTube. I learned to speak. I learned a lot of different things, or learned about speaking, didn't learn how to do it. But I learned a lot of different things at this conference. But it kept coming back into my mind, if YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, why are we not doing anything on it? And I literally looked at it just like I did Google. I'm paying Google money to make the phone ring. And I started looking at YouTube thinking, we could pay YouTube, but since I started YouTube, I've never ran ads. Now, we're talking about doing it now for some different things, but in 7 years, I've grown the largest plumbing YouTube channel in the world, and it actually made the phone ring in my business. And I say it that way because that's the one thing that has kept me awake at night, back when I had my business. Literally laying awake all night long wondering, what do I have to do to make my phone ring? And YouTube turned out to be the magic answer, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, beautiful. I know, yeah, getting started, getting the phone to ring is a very, very common challenge for a lot of people. So YouTube worked out really pretty well for you, right?
It's worked out pretty good. In just a few years, we just went over 125 million views and 650,000 subscribers. So we're doing something right. I'm not going to say what it is, but we're doing something right.
Absolutely. So let's start there. Let's start with getting your first customers. So the topic for today is sort of getting business owners to that first million. There's a lot that goes into that. So when it comes down to sort of that strategy that you had going into it, trying to get the phone to ring, what did that look like? Did you happen across anything in particular while you were laying there awake at night, or?
No, I really didn't. We had hired probably 4 or 5 different marketing companies. And I don't mean this bad, but I think most of them lie to you. Most of them will tell you whatever you want to hear to get you to write them a bigger check. And literally, when you're having problems with the marketing company and you call them, they're like, oh, well, you just need to spend more money. Well, they always wanted me to spend money on ads. And I was doing research and I'm like, yeah, but I want to invest in organic. I want to get found forever for these words, not just when I'm running an ad. So we literally started looking at the organic. And I mean, over the last few years, I've probably studied SEO, marketing, advertising, social media, websites, organic, Google, all this more than anything else I've done. And I still look at it, the Roger Wakefield website, we're now getting more views than we ever have. And we're doing certain things to help that grow. Well, we did this with our plumbing company. And we started looking at organic SEO, not just the ads. Everybody wants to sell you Google ads and Facebook ads, and it works. And I'm not saying you don't need it. I think you need it, and you need a great strategy behind it. Because no matter how organic I make my web page and how good I get it found or how much social media I do, I can't make more people click on that each and every day. If I need more calls tomorrow because we're slow, I can't just put it out into the universe and say, hey, look, y'all go search plumbing or go search Texas Green Plumbing or whatever it is. But with Facebook ads and Google ads, if I look at my books and say, hey, I'm kind of slow the next 2 days, I could use 10 extra calls. Well, to get 10 extra calls, maybe I need to put 1,000 ads out and get in front of more people to try to hit my 10% number and make all that work. So that's what I'm looking at now is how do I build it where it's more of a strategy to help a business grow, combining both. You need the online, you need the organic, you need a little bit of everything. And if you can tie social media, real media, and advertising together, you can do amazing things and grow your business really as fast as you want to.
Roger, I can't agree with you more. That trifecta is, at least in my business, has been the secret sauce. Let's kind of pull back a few layers here. I guess if I'm looking at this and I'm a service business and I've never played the social organic game, maybe I posted a few random videos here and there in the spring rush if I'm in lawn care or even in the HVAC space. But, I've done this for maybe a month. I posted a few videos randomly. I'm like, you know what, Roger, it just doesn't work. I tried that. I'm curious. I think I know you're going to go with this one, but what does that ramp up? What does that look like far as actual, putting videos out? And I always say, hey, no one's going to see the first couple of videos. Even if they suck, it doesn't matter. Just put them out there. But I guess in your experience, what is that time frame before you can actually see some real traction?
To be honest, and I love this, Mike, because I think your first 100 videos are going to suck. Mine are still up there. I never went back and took them down. It's like, you know what? It is what it is. But the thing is, I tell people starting in YouTube, and it's funny because literally just the other night, I was doing a coaching call with the group that I'm doing, and Tommy asked me, he said, Roger, look, how often should I post and how long do I need to do this? I said, Tommy, look, it's up to you, but we went in, started with 3 videos a week, every week, 1 month after I discovered what YouTube was. Now, everybody's not going to be as intense as me. I completely get it. But if you will set a schedule, set a calendar, Mike, if you said, look, I'm going to post one video a week about something we specialize in. Say it's slab leaks and leak detection. Say it's whole house water filtrations. Say it's tankless water heaters. You go through every week and make a video about that. You SEO the video right. You tag it right. You make a great thumbnail. You make a great title. Within a year, you're going to be getting calls off that. After about a year and a half or 2 years, I remember walking out of the office. It was about 2 years after I'd started doing YouTube. And Amber, my CSR, said, Roger, we got 3 jobs today, 3 tunnel jobs today off of YouTube. And I'm like, Amber, it's 9 a.m. We didn't get 3 jobs off YouTube this morning. She says, no. The calls came in last week. We had dig crews go out last week. We've got 3 different plumbing crews out working on 3 different tunnels this week. Now, Mac, the tunnels are anywhere from a $5,000 to a $100,000 job. 3 jobs off one YouTube video that Google actually paid me to make. You can't beat a deal like that. It doesn't get any better. I don't care how good you are. Doing things like that, and it's the trifecta. You've got to be able to do a little bit of all of it, but when you start doing it right, it all pays off. It all ties together. So I think this is just the greatest thing on earth, because we all have the ability to control how fast we grow to $1 million, or do we stop at $1 million? Do we go to 10 million? Do we go to 100 million? That's really up to us. And I think like you said, the trifecta is what helps us get there.
Yeah, I love that you commented on that in the timer. So in my lawn care company, before we exited, it was probably 16, 18 months. We left all the videos, just like you said. At that point, I didn't care. People were still looking at them, but it was interesting. It was a long-term play, and anybody who, even on a national level, I knew, with the exception of 2 to 3 guys, had quit probably 3 to 4 months in. And I guess the other question around there that we always get pushed back when I say, hey, you just start, be consistent 2-3 times a week, just like you said, doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of questions and concerns I hear is, well, what if my competition sees I'm basically giving away how to do it, or I'm giving the secret sauce away? Obviously, I'm totally in the mindset of abundance. Let's put it out there if they're going to do it themselves. But I guess what's your thought? What have you seen around that? Because I think that between those 2 things are the 2 of the biggest questions. A, how long does it take to work? And B, like, can I just give all my knowledge away? And my assumption is yes. Like it's content marketing.
It's funny because I look at a lot of plumbers that have tried to do what I do. And you go back and watch them. It's like, wait, you did this for like 6 months religiously. Then you quit. And your videos are still growing. They're still getting views. If you would have never quit, you'd be chasing me or maybe be past me. And it's like, man, and a lot of these, I go in, it's like, man, they're making good content. I like watching it. So that's the hard one. But number one is if you start this, have a plan. Say, look, I'm not going to give up for a year. I'm not going to give up for 2 years. But then track every single call that comes in. That way you know where they came from. Because I remember going out to another tunnel job, and Amber tells me one day on the way out there, she said, look, the homeowner's out there. He's waiting on you. He said he wants to meet you. I'm like, okay, I've heard that before. So I get out there, and I got out there before he came outside, and I'm already crawling up under the house. And I come back out, and he's standing there. He said, do you mind if I tell you why I called you? I said, no, I love that. Well, I already knew it was YouTube. But he said, Roger, you made a video saying I'm not the cheapest plumber in Dallas. Matter of fact, I'm probably closer to the more expensive than the cheaper. But I explained why. I do everything right. When we tunnel under a house, I use stainless steel rods. I use stainless steel hangers, nuts and washers, everything. I don't want there to be a problem ever under this house again. So if I put in the best materials, that helps that happen. Now, if I put in galvanized hangers or anything like that, they're going to corrode, they're going to rot, they're going to be gone in a year. And if the house shifts some more, we're going to have the same problems. I don't want that to be on me. So I made videos about, look, this is why I'm not the cheapest. And then somewhere along the way, I probably said something like, look, if you want the cheapest guy in Dallas, I'll give you his number. but you're probably going to call me back later and it's going to cost you twice as much because I know how he's the cheapest. He does shortcuts each and every day. So that would be my first thing. And then what was your other question, Mike? I'm sorry, I focused on that.
Honestly,
part.
I think you answered it. I guess if you're listening to this, whether it's live in the video or audio, Roger is absolutely nailing it. So if I can kind of summarize what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's educating, he's creating a higher perceived value. He can charge the highest price in the market. And not only that, but very similar to, if you haven't read the book, They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan.
I love him.
Addressing the issues up front and literally shortening the sales cycle through education. I mean, let's face it, Roger, nobody trusts us hiring as a service business to hire us as a service business. And they don't to make that decision. So going out and actually being different, educating and creating a higher perceived value. You're not the Chuck in the truck or the run by night cheap person. You've created that value and you've overcome those sales or price objections. And the third thing you hit on, which is really interesting that I think a lot of people miss, and this is where when you go 6 to 7 months, in my opinion, at least, is you haven't created that relationship. But by the time they get to you, they know you, they like you, they trust you. And I don't know about you, Roger, but it's the weirdest thing. I'll go to a conference and be like, hey, Mike, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm terrible at names. Like, and I'm like, no, we've never met, but they literally know your life story. And there is that relationship. So,
Mike, I've had grown men come up and hug me. And I mean, they just grab me and give me a big old bear hug. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? And it's like, oh my God, dude, you have changed my life. Now, the other thing you talked about is you don't want to give away your value. You don't want to give away your secrets. Look, we specialized in slab leaks and leak detection. And I literally made videos telling everybody every single step I do, every house I walk up. And it's like, look, you want to learn how to do it? There it is. There's about 8 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I can't get to all of them. There's no way. So if you and Ryan are both here in the Dallas area and y'all see me and y'all start doing it, and I know you're doing it right, it's like when people call me and they're like, Roger, look, we need to get you here today. And hey, I'm over towards Fort Worth. Hey, I don't go to Fort Worth, but Mike's over there. And me and Mike have talked. He does it just like I do. You're going to be fine. I have no problem. I had a guy reach out to me about YouTube training. And after he went through my course, he told me, he said, Roger, I never thought you would teach me YouTube. I said, why? He said, because I'm in Allen. I'm like 2 cities north of you. And why would you teach your competitors to do what you do? I said, dude, you're a great plumber. I love your attitude. I love what you're doing. You've got great reviews. I think you're going to take care of your people. If I ever can't get to anybody, I would send people to you. I would give my customers your name and say, look, I can't get to you. Call him. And I mean, guy got tears in his eyes. He said, you would really do that? I said, look, if I can't get to him, I want somebody good to get to him. And if I know you've learned to do things or you do things like I do or better than I do or something like that, why wouldn't I refer people to you? I want to help people take care of their most valuable possession, their house. And I want to know the best contractors, the best tradespeople to help them do that, no matter what it is. And to me, man, what a better way to do it.
Absolutely. Going back to using a phrase that Mike has used quite a bit is the mindset of abundance. That mindset shift of, you can't talk to your competitors. You shouldn't interact with them. It's adversarial. I think shifting that on its head and almost becoming allies and partners and serving people is really, really something that's beneficial. When it comes to the content creation side of it, that's a phrase that scares a lot of people, content creation. When you get started with it, trying to do stuff, put it on YouTube, get on your website, blogs, SEO, and all that stuff, there's this perception that it's got to be this like super high quality production. I'll give you my experience, but I want to hear yours. Is basically the idea that like, man, the videos shot on your cell phone are some of the most high performing, awesome things that I check out. I'll use a lawn care example because they pop up on my TikTok all the time, but like the guys that just go out and they cut an ugly yard for free, man, I'll watch those before and afters all day. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I want to jump in real quick because literally I left lunch probably about 25, 30 minutes ago to get here. And me and my son were talking about those videos. It's a video that you can't turn off. You know what they're going to do. You turn it on, they get started. And all of a sudden, I mean, you're sitting there eating popcorn, watching the video. But I love them because For content creation, that's one of the easiest things to do. But if you're a plumber, just go out and video what you're doing every day. It does not matter to me what trade you're in. If you're an electrician, you can set up a phone, prop it up. Now, look, if you've got an iPhone 1, it may be time to upgrade and get a better camera. But I mean, I don't rush out the first day and buy new phones, but I always know when a new one's coming out. It's like, okay, which one am I going to get rid of? Because I've got 2 or 3, but I'll try to upgrade where I've normally got probably the 3 latest versions of phones at all time. I know I've got a 13, a 15, and a 16 right now. And you can see the different quality. Guys, they make them better. And if you're creating content, that phone is free. It's a tool. If you're a tradesman, that phone is free if you're running a business. Get the latest, greatest. I literally started shooting videos on my laptop 8 years ago. And it's funny because I was talking about this earlier too. I had it set up on my desk and I'm scooted back as far as I can get to where I'm framed right in the camera. And then I'm hollering at the laptop because I didn't have a microphone. And I wanted to make sure the people heard me. So, we start with what we have, but you're right. Most people have a great phone in their pocket right now. And you talked about content creation. Jump on ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm in the lawn care business. Give me 10 videos that could do really good in lawn care and see what ideas it gives you. It's like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. And just ask it. It's an assistant. I know it's an artificial intelligence, but it can give you some ideas and then you make it your video. Do it in your voice. Say the things that you would say to help convey that message. And if you can learn to do like that, you can make any video in the world out there amazing.
Roger, to add to that, I think one of the things I think in the lawn care company or any of my other businesses is the questions coming into your office that you just like spit out the answers day after day. They consistently happen. Just literally for a week or two, just write down all the questions you get in your office. You've got content for 12 to 18 months just sitting there that would lay in. And I guess to dial in, you mentioned kind of that trifecta. So we could speak for probably a whole year just on the organic.
Oh God, yeah, every day for a year, yes.
But I'm curious. So let's just say we've got the wheels moving. We created this consistent flow for organic videos. Are you going in through like Google Local, pay-per-click? Are you maybe targeting Facebook geographically in your service area? What are the ways that you're dialing in to actually compound that brand awareness? And I think maybe it's good to mention too. The organic video is not just almost for sales, but it's also a major brand awareness play, which is huge year after year.
I talked about social media, I talked about real media, and then SEO. And to me, part of SEO is your Google business page. And I don't know how long it's been since y'all been in your Google business page, but your Google business page wants to know, where else are you? So the way SEO used to work is if I had a web page and I used the word plumbing 1 million times on it, if somebody searched plumbing, Google's going to point them at my web page, say, oh my God, Roger talks about this a lot. And it could just say plumbing, 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 plumbing. Okay. That's what a lot of SEO companies were selling. A lot of website companies. But now, and not now really, not now. Now Google is looking at where else do you talk about plumbing? So if you've got a YouTube channel, a LinkedIn, a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, the reason Google asks you to link all your social profiles, think about it. Google owns YouTube. They don't want you on TikTok. They don't want you on Twitter. They don't want you on Facebook. They want you on YouTube because they own it. But here's the deal. When you tie all your other social profiles to your Google business page, it's trying to see what you talk about. If Ryan talks about landscaping over here and plumbing over here and electrical over here and travel and cooking and cats, YouTube is like, or Google's like, why do we want to point people to him? He doesn't even know what all he's talking about. So if you'll dial your niche in, dial your subject in. Whenever I coach people on YouTube, I ask them in under 7 words, tell me what your YouTube channel's about. And I want y'all to think about that, because if you can tell me in under 7 words what your YouTube channel's about, YouTube knows what your channel's about. Now, unless you just started, that's what you want. Because once you learn how to create your messaging right to where YouTube knows beyond any doubt. I tell people all the time, go to YouTube and search plumbing. And I do this when I speak. And I start out with that somewhere in the beginning, and I'm like, I'll get back to that in a minute. And then I start speaking. And I'm looking around the room, and all of a sudden people will be like, oh my gosh, do y'all see this? I'm what they find. So what I tell people is if you can get so specific in your message that you can get YouTube to know what your channel is about, when people search that, you become their recommendation. And that is the biggest game changer there is. Because if you can do that, it's phenomenal. So to grow your Google business profile now, it's not just SEO. It's not just social media. It's not just real media. I mean, we've got links to me and Dr. Phil. We've got links to me and Chris Cuomo. We've got links to me and Mike Rowe. We've got links in here for the different people that I've been with and done things with that are real media. And a lot of tradespeople don't even know that there's local newspapers, magazines, morning shows, lunch shows that need people like us owned. Hey, the city just passed a new ordinance about if your grass is over so tall. Well, guess what? We have professional landscaper Mike in the house. Mike, is this really a big deal to you? Oh, God, no. People should be taking care of that anyway. And you go through and talk about it. There's always somebody out there looking for somebody like us to ask them questions about. And that's why, to me, real media is the next frontier for us, because there's people out there looking for us, but they don't even know where we're at.
Awesome. Beautiful. Love that.
I guess, Roger, diving in, we're hearing a lot about AI, and I know we're talking about it. I know you're future thinking, and I know we haven't discussed this beforehand, so if you don't have a take on it, that's okay as well. But I know the biggest thing that we're seeing now is a lot of people are saying that some of the things that we're doing currently they're not going to disappear, but they're not going to be as relevant. So if you went into ChatGPT or any of its competitors and searched in plumbing, Allen, Texas, the results may be a little bit different. Is there anything looking for this next shift that's kind of already starting to rear its ugly head, in my opinion, of opportunity and be the first adopters? Are there things we can do with our organic traffic, some of our Google listings, things like that, and other things we may not be aware of that we should do to get ready to adopt for this shift that's rapidly happening in the home service business area?
Absolutely. Number one, if you don't have a CRM where you're not communicating with your people, you need one. And, I've got one that ties into my social media. So if you go to my social media and I made a post that said, hey, look, we specialize in home water filtration systems. I think that we sell the best product there is. If you want to learn more about it, just put water down in the comments. Well, they can put water, and I've got it tied to my CRM where, okay, anybody who puts water in, it'll automatically send them out an email, a Facebook message, however I want to set it up. It may send them out a video. Hey guys, this is Roger. And thank you for commenting about the whole house water filtration system. By the way, I use Halo water systems, and here's what we do. Boom, 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 boom. You can literally set it up where AI is communicating with these people for as long as you want to communicate with them. And there's chat bots now that you can set up on your page. And I know when chat bots first came out, I hated talking to them. But now you can set up a chat bot that literally reads your website, watches your YouTube videos, watches all your social media, where it knows you probably better than you do. So when I go in there and say, hey, Mike, how late do y'all actually do your last job? The chatbot can go in and read your website and say, hey, you know what? We work till 7 o'clock. So to be honest, our last job probably starts at 5, and it can go through and communicate with it. But as soon as that person puts in certain keywords, you're like, I need to talk now. Well, as soon as it said that, you get a notification say, hey, you got a customer. Here's the chat. Would you like to go ahead and jump in and take over? Okay. Tommy, can I go ahead and call you right now? Sure. And you can start it off where another good thing, another AI product, automatic text back. So if you call me and I'm busy, I'm under a house. Well, instead of me just getting a message or a missed call, you don't even leave a message because I'm already calling somebody else. If I see I missed a call from you and I call back in 30 minutes when I got from under the house, you're like, I'm sorry, Roger, man, I already called somebody else. Thank you very much. But what if if I missed a call from you, and when you hang up, you get a text back that says, "Hey, this is Roger. I can't talk right now. What kind of problem are you having? What can I do for you?" Well, now you're texting my bot that knows everything that I would say. Well, Roger, how late are you open? Well, we close at 7. So, our last call is normally around 5 o'clock, unless you want to schedule something. You have any other questions? Or what is the problem you're having? It can keep an open dialogue going until you get out from under a house. And then you say, okay, I want to take over. Now you can text them right back and say, hey, look, I just freed up. Can I go ahead and jump on a phone call with you real quick? Well, you can read the whole text conversation. You know where they're at. You know what's going on. Hey, Tommy, I know you're having a problem with your tankless water heater and it's awry. I'm not very far away from you. And you want to go ahead and schedule a call and I'll just swing by and see what we can do? This is the way we need to be looking at using AI. We need to hire more people that are AI managers that understand the prompts, the communication, everything about it, that understand automation. The marketing package that we've put together is more automation than anything. If I can look at a plumber and say, look, I can probably eliminate half the work you do in the office. It's a no-brainer. It's
Absolutely.
a no-brainer.
Absolutely. I want to take that and sort of pivot a little bit, almost stepping back a second. Talking about growing your business to the first million, one of the big things that's going to get someone there is their tools. Software is a huge part of that. AI, obviously, we've been talking about that. Are there any other tools that you recommend? So you got CRM, scheduling software. Obviously, we're on this podcast, we're a little more in favor of Field Edge and Service Autopilot in-house.
You bet.
But any other tools outside of kind of the scope of those field service management things that you might look at?
Well, I think those are the smartest ones to invest in. They're going to be things that actually help you grow your business. There's all kinds of people out there doing a lot of different things, but one of the biggest ones is like you said, it's things that are going to help you with the office. We're normally great tradespeople. We're great technicians. We're great with the lawnmower. We're great with the yard. We're great with a plumbing system. We're great with a water heater. I remember one of my first coaches, Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth book. And I remember him talking. He said, look, Roger, we send people to school to learn. He said, your school was a little different. He said, but we send people to school. We teach them to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and all these different things, but we don't teach them how to run a business. And these softwares help us run the business better. What are the other tools? YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Well, to be honest, they buy from people they know, love, trust, and they're connected to. And I think anybody who starts YouTube can help you get connected or be the most connected person in your niche or in your industry. And that's going to really help your business.
Absolutely. Have you seen sort of the YouTube and content and that stuff also be utilized in a hiring sense?
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, if I make a video today saying, look, I'm looking for plumbers, but here's what I'm looking for. Imagine if I made a video, if you jump into the video and say, hey, I'm Roger Wakefield and I'm hiring plumbers. But here's the deal. If you're sitting at home unemployed right now, eating Cheetos and watching daytime soaps, you're probably not the plumber that I want. Here's the plumber that I want. I want the plumber that you're the top plumber at your company. You are the one that everybody calls when they have a question or a problem. You're the one that doesn't mind staying late and doing what the customer needs to actually be taken care of. If you're that kind of plumber, I pay more than most plumbers in town. So if you want to talk, man, let's jump on a call. If I made a video like that, I would have 1,000 applications. That's what we need to be doing. That's what all of us need to be doing. But also we need to be making videos saying, look, if you're thinking about getting into a trade like plumbing, I would love to talk to you. Because if you're in high school or you're college and you're getting ready to graduate and you're not sure what you want to do, I would love to give you an opportunity to make $100,000 a year. So if that's something that you would be interested in, give me a shout. If you don't know anything about plumbing, guess what? You know what I knew about plumbing when I got into it? that I had a toilet at home, that I had a shower at home, and I had a water heater at home. That's all I knew. Do you know those things about your plumbing system? If you do, we can probably work with you. I mean, think about that video. There's some kid out there that has been told his whole life, if you don't go to college, you're never going to amount to anything. And now he hears that and he's thinking, wow, I've got a shower and toilet at home. I can be a plumber too. And that's what we need to be doing. Every one of us need to be making those videos just to tell somebody, because I'd rather have a plumber that I have trained for 4 years than one I hired from somebody else that either quit or got fired. But he tells me how amazing of a plumber he is. And when you ask him, well, tell me about your worst day. Oh, I've never had a bad day. Yeah, well, get out of here because I don't want it to happen on my job.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, guys, I look at it a little different.
So to kind of bring it back, though, you're talking about marketing to actual leads and clients, and you're also marketing, probably spending just as much time potentially marketing to your potential new hires. The Michael Gerber comment kind of just sparked the thought, though, that technician on an entrepreneurial seizure, as Michael likes to say.
You bet.
We've kind of talked about this market acquisition, going out and potentially growing the team or the client base, but kind of pulling it back to maybe Michael Gerber a little bit more along those lines is we're growing this business to get to $1 million. A lot of us, at least in the early days, if there's money in the bank, we've got to be making money. There really is no financial education. There's no financial awareness. Forget about direct and indirect costs and where things end up on a P&L. If you're watching this and you're scaling to that $1 million mark or even beyond, because we've worked with companies 5 or 6 million and beyond, that literally are throwing it against the wall and they still don't even know their operating costs. What are the basics that you're going to recommend as a service business owner, even in plumbing or wherever that may be? I think it's all pretty much across, it's going to be the same across pretty much all the trades. What are the financial education, at least the things that you really think are the most important things we should be looking at? Because I know when we get going, everybody's like, well, we just got to work. As long as there's cash in the bank, we're good. And obviously, I don't think that's the case. But I know you're big on social, but I know the businesses you've built. I don't think that the foundational parts of those businesses necessarily YouTube or organic or paid advertising. Let's dive into the finances. What should we be looking at? What should we be doing?
Well, the first thing is we need to know our KPIs. We need to know what numbers are important to us each and every day. What numbers actually reflect, just because there's money in the bank, that normally means the guy's not paying himself. And I hate to say it, but it's normally true. When you look at your KPIs and you need to get good at it. And I've been involved with several best practice groups. You've got to become a king of your numbers. You've got to be able to look at your numbers. And, best practice groups will normally tell you, look at them every day. You know what? If you look at your KPIs at least once a week, I think you're doing good. I think you're ahead of 98% of the companies out there. Because most plumbing company owners, if there's money in the bank, they think, hey, we're doing great. We're making money. Not necessarily true. But know your KPIs, but also have somebody in your office that can look at a job ticket and say, okay, we were on this job. Here's how many hours we were on this job. Here's where he was dispatched. Here's where he left. Or here's where she totaled the job out and sold it for this much. And you've got to be able to break that ticket down. How much materials were involved? How much labor was involved? How long were they on the job? You've got to know every detail about that job. And to be honest, there's only like 5 numbers that you really need to know. But know these numbers. That way, literally, you can pull a ticket and look at a job and say, gee, we made money on this. Gee, we made money on this. Ooh, we lost money on this job. Now let's look at why. Why did we lose money on this job? And were we there too long? Did we not have one fitting on the truck that we needed? And you had to run to the big box store to get it. There's a million different things, but knowing your KPIs, knowing how to look at them, and then knowing what your numbers should be. Do you know how much you should be spending on labor, on field labor, on office labor, on marketing, on overhead? What should your profit be? You've got to know these numbers because in order to make your KPIs add up, you've got to know what you've got budgeted, what numbers you're trying to hit. Are you hitting those? And if you don't know your percentages, you're just saying, hey, man, look, there's money in the bank. I'm assuming we're making money. It doesn't always work that way.
And I love you touched on the percentages. So if we're looking at something like cost of goods sold, direct labor, subs, and materials, Fuel is questionable, like kind of like below the line, but as long as you're looking at it consistent, it probably doesn't really matter. But each industry, Roger, I'm assuming, especially even plumbing, we have those gross profit margins. So obviously, if above the line there, that cost of goods sold, if we're not hitting our margins, those levers are probably going to be the most beneficial ones off the bat. But I love the fact that you talked about two things there, and maybe you can elaborate on it, is the fixed general administrative costs. Included in there was kind of our office staff and things there. But the other big thing that I think was even the biggest red flag that I caught very briefly was owners being paid at least a fair market wage.
You know why we become entrepreneurs? So we can work 100 hours for ourselves and not get paid, because we don't want to work 40 hours a week for someone else and get paid. And to be honest, that's about a true story. And I hate to say it, but it is, because most of us, when we start a business, we don't have a good plan. We don't have KPIs. We don't know what numbers to look at. We just jump out, and I know I did. I walked out of a job on Friday, and Monday it's like, okay, I'm going to open a company. And I had no money put up. I had no savings. It was like, man, I'm a plumber. I can make money. But there were a lot of things to learn. But to me, your general admin cost, the numbers that you need to know, your field labor should cost 20% or less. Your office staff should cost 10%. And another good rule of thumb here is, for every person you have in the office, there better be 3 people in the field. So if you've got one lady in the office answering the phones, you need 3 guys out in the field running a truck. And I don't mean 2 apprentices in one truck. I mean, you need 3 different trucks running to cover that. And those are just 2 good rules of thumb. But if you know your percentages, you know your materials, what percentage they should be. You know what percentage your profit and overhead should be. You've got to start looking at all this. And if you want to make more money, find out how to adjust these percentages. If your field labor is running you 30%, guess what? You're not profiting near as much as you should be. You need to figure out how to either adjust your prices, which most people are undercharging. I think that we all know that. But you've got to figure out how to adjust your prices to fit your field labor or your office labor, or you've got to adjust the labor so it fits within your price structure. Now, I don't know. I've been in the trade since 1980. I don't think I've ever known a plumber that I could walk up to and say, hey, what we're paying you doesn't fit in our labor percentages, so I need to lower you 12%. I've never known a plumber that would say, oh, God, yeah, man, sounds great. Let's hit your numbers. But if you look at how to bring the value and teach your people how to sell the value of what they do, people don't care about price. If they did, nobody drive a Mercedes. People care about getting what they want. And if you, as a plumber, as a landscaper, as an electrician, as an HVAC tech, and say, look, this is why we charge more. I use the best fertilizer. I'm going to leave this job cleaner than you've ever seen. And your neighbors are going to literally come by and say, oh my gosh, I have never seen your yard look so good. You know what? You tell me that, it's like, okay, I'm not even asking how much you charge. Okay, do it. Just go for it. And there's so many different things to learn. You can learn people's personality styles, learn how to communicate with people. Culture at a company is one of the biggest things that there is. But this culture starts with putting happy people in front of customers. Because if your people aren't happy and are going out to a customer, it's like, well, man, that's high. It's like, yeah, I agree. It is what it is, though. Okay, I'm probably not going to buy that from you. But you know what? If you walk up as a plumber and you knock on the door and somebody answers and you say, hey, Mr. Mike, look, I'm Roger Wakefield. I'm from Texas Green Plumbing. Have you ever used us before? You haven't. Well, I already know that. I've looked at the record, but I know. So I ask the question. You say, no, I never have. But would you mind if I take just a second and tell you why I got into plumbing, why I came to work here, and why I still work here? And you're like, no, go ahead. Well, I got into plumbing because I was a troublemaker in high school. I actually quit school, but then I got a job in the summer as a plumber and loved it. So then I went back, graduated with my class. And after I got out, I tried a couple of things, but I really realized I love plumbing. So I kept getting back into it. And I've been doing this since 1980. Now, I came to work at Texas Green Plumbing because I like the fact that they're about sustainability and building a greener earth. And they've got phenomenal warranties. And the reason I'm still here They spend almost $10,000 a year training each and every plumber to get better at what we do. And I told you about the warranties. Those are real. We guarantee the quality of our work forever. Now, the products we can't. It's a manufacturer warranty. But we guarantee our work, our workmanship forever. So don't you think with things like that, I'm going to do a great job for you today and you're going to be okay? Absolutely, Roger. Come on in. I can sell them whatever I want to sell them then, as long as I can explain the value behind it. Because I built that value, that upfront contract by letting them know, look, guys, we're great. We're good at what we do. And if you can teach every one of your plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs to walk up and spend 5 minutes with a customer, getting to know them and talking to them, you're not going to have any problem selling anything. You just recommend what is the best thing for them. In lawn, it's like, look, we can just mow your yard. You know what? We can mow and edge your yard. You know what? We can mow it, edge it, trim the hedges, and blow your yard off, sweep up all the grass, and nobody's ever going to know that I was here at the end of the day. Which one would you prefer? Because if it was my mom or my sister, well, every time I go to their house, I go the full service. What would you like? Well, I want the full service. Perfect. Here we go. Build that value in your credibility statement. Build it in your communications with them and let them know, look, with me, you get all this value. They normally don't worry about the pricing. They're like, you know what? I want what's best. Let's go that way.
Absolutely. I forget where I heard it, but talking about selling services, people, somebody once said that, people don't buy services, they buy results.
You bet.
Right. So it's not, I'm going to bring a plumber in. He's going to, do what he's going to do. It's, they've got a leak they want it fixed or, whatever it is. I also, going back to the KPI stuff earlier on, you'd mentioned, like way at the beginning of the episode, you had mentioned, I need to get 10 calls on the schedule. I need to serve 10,000 ads or whatever that number is. That's the power of knowing your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes back down to it, I just wanted to circle back to that because I wanted to point it out because it's come up a couple times, but I wanted to hit on it directly just so nobody missed it because that's kind of the superpower that you get there.
I love it. And I'll explain people how I break down my numbers like that. Because to me, and let's go back to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to sell 1,000 of something, you need 10,000 people to watch. 100,000 people to watch it. The reason being, and I use that 1% number. If 100,000 people watch what I do, 10,000 people may reach out about it, or 10,000 people may go to the website or join the webinar. Say I can get 10,000 people to join a webinar about why I'm the best lawn care maintenance person in the Dallas, Texas area. Well, if I put out ads and get 100,000 people interested and 10,000 people watch, I should be able to sell 1,000 of those pretty easy. And I play a 10% number because if what I'm doing is not generating 10%, I need to do something. So if I make a Facebook ad about my lawn care service and I notice that I'm not getting a 10% watch rate or click-through rate or anything like that, I need to change my ad. I need to do something better. And knowing your numbers, knowing your KPIs, and Ron, I love that you mentioned that because I always look at know your numbers, but also know how many you need to reach. If you wanted 100,000 more customers for your lawn care service next year, I'd say, well, you need to get 10 million views because those 10 million views are going to turn into 1 million people finding out more about you that are going to turn into 100,000 buyers. And if you know numbers like that, you know how to play the game.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
it. Numbers talk, emotions walk. And that's something I think that a lot of business owners, they kind of miss that, at least in the early days. I want to be respectful of your time, Roger, but I think one of the last things that you hit on is worth a conversation. You started to hit on the culture part. How big of a role right now do you think, as far as like culture is starting to play in this new realm with the new crew? And then as you scaled to the size you did, in with the culture is obviously the business owners' leadership skills and the evolution, being the leader at $500,000 to $1 million and then $1.5 million and beyond. At least my experience, those are different leadership skills that the business owner needs to have. But not only that, as you're bringing some of these guys and girls from the field up or somebody from the outside, their leadership skills aren't there. So leadership culture. As we look at, I like to hire, train, and fire to the core values. It all kind of comes in this nucleus, but I feel like that's the only part we haven't hit on today, of scaling that business to $1 million and probably well beyond if you do even a quarter of these things we talked about today.
Well, I love that you talk about core values, because if you're hiring people that don't fit your core values, why? I mean, we're very specific about certain things and the way we want them done. And we always had our plumbers take pictures and put them in their invoices and estimates and all that. And I would always go back through them, and it's like, wait, why did we use a shark bite fitting here? And it's like, and call the plumber in. And it's like, you did not do the things that we do. And he's like, well, I had a reason. No, there is no reason. It's like saying, look, we don't slap little old ladies when we walk in their house, but you walked in and slapped one. Oh, well, I had a reason. No, you didn't. There is no reason. And I know that's a funny way to put it, but I mean, it's almost that big of a deal, because if this is my company and I've built my core values, they represent me. If you want to do things different, go open your own company, man. I will support you and help you. But if you're going to be installing shark bite fittings, I'm not going to send people to you, because that's not what I believe in. So, you look at the culture, and me, it's you want teams, you want team players, you want other people that can help everybody along the way. So your assistants, your managers, who do you put in charge? Do you put them in charge just because they're a great plumber? Well, they may suck as a leader. And you've got to be able to look at that and say, hey, you know what? This is the kind of people I want my people learning from. And building that, you look at people like Tommy Mello and what all he talks about and what he teaches and the way to do it. And me learning from people like that, just learning from people. I always look at people that I think do things better than me. If I can learn things from them, what can I help teach my team? Or what value can I bring back to my team? So me looking at stuff like that, your culture at the end of the day is how you're going to be defined, how your company's going to be defined. When people leave there, are they going to say, hey, man, that was a good place to work at? I learned a lot. And I'm very proud of the fact I've got 2 former plumbers that are now on YouTube doing different things. One in Dallas, one out in California. But they're like, Roger, I learned so much from you. So to me, you can't make your culture too good at a company unless you just let people walk all over you. But then that's not good either.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And another part of that is, if you're a business owner that struggles with trusting employees to deliver that level of quality that you do, you might not have employees that match those core values. Because if they match those core values, they're going to do it the way that you want to do it, then that's going to align. Roger, thank you so much for jumping onto the podcast today. I really appreciate it. Like Mike said, I want to be respectful for your time. We opened the culture can of worms, which usually, I mean, that could be a part 2 at this point.
Oh, so yeah, that could be a whole nother year's worth of videos right there.
All right. Well, Roger, thank you so much. Mike, thank you so much. And listener, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And absolutely, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Mike, thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Later, guys.